Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we will learn about NM utility theory. Before study and discuss about NM theory, I will show that what is the history of utility. After that we will move the our next chapter which is NM theory. So, as you all know that utility means the satisfactions or pleasure that a consumer get for consuming goods and services. Economists develop different theories over time to explain how consumers make choices. These theories evolved from measuring satisfaction to understanding decision under risk and uncertainty. First is cardinal utility theory. Let's know that what is cardinal utility theory. This theory was developed between 1870 and 1819 by William Stanley Jones, Karl Marx, and Leon Walras. Later, Alfred Marshall popularized it. Main idea. The theory said that utility can measure numerically in units. For example, one ice cream gives 10 units, two ice cream gives 20 units. According to this theory, we can compare satisfaction using numbers. And the most important thing is its limitation. That is, limitation suggests the biggest problem is that satisfaction is a feeling. We cannot measure it accurately with number. Therefore, economists started looking for a better theory. After that, ordinal utility theory was founded. And now let's move to the ordinal utility theory. This theory was introduced in 1934 by John Hicks and R.G.D. Allen. Main idea, this theory strongly say that utility cannot be measured in numbers. Instead, consumer only rank their preference. For example, tea greater than coffee greater than milk. This means tea gives the highest satisfaction, coffee is second, and milk is third. Notice that do, Notice that we don't know how much satisfaction gives. We only know the order of preferences. And the contributions of this theory is indifference score and consumer preferences. And the most important thing is that limitations. Although it explains normal choices, well, it cannot properly explain decision involving risk and uncertainty. For example, buying insurance, investing in stock, playing a lottery, etc. To solve this problem, another theory was developed, which is NM theory. Now let's discuss the Neumann Morgenstern utility theory. It was introduced in 1944 by John Newman and Oscar Morgenstern. Their famous book was Theory of Game and Economic Behavior. Why was this theory needed? Earlier theories explain normal choices but fail to explain situations involving gambling, insurance, lottery, investment under risk, uncertainty. And main idea of this theory was a rational consumer choose the option that provide the highest expected utility. For example, expected utility means considering both possible outcome and probability of those outcomes. We will clearly understand Neumann Morgenstern utility theory in next PDF. Now move to the next slide. In this slide, we will study clearly and in detail all about Neumann Morgenstern utility function, which is one of the most important theory in economics for understanding decision under risk and uncertainty. As you all know that this theory was developed by John von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern. It explains how a rational consumer chooses between risky alternative by comparing their expected utility rather than just looking at money. Today, this theory is widely used in game theory, finance insurance, and modern microeconomics. Let's study what is the meaning of NM utility function. The NM utility function measures the satisfaction a person expects from uncertain outcomes. A rational consumer will always choose A rational consumer will always choose the alternative that provides the highest expected utility. In simple words, people do not only think about how much money they can get, they also consider the chances of getting that outcome and the satisfaction they will receive. For example, for example, suppose you have two options. Suppose you have two options. Suppose you have two options, option A and option B. Option A guaranteed 500 rupees and option B guaranteed 50% chances of winning 1200, and this is option B1, this is option B2, and another is 50% chances of winning nothing. A person will compare the expected utility of both options, option A and option B, and then choose the one that gives greater satisfaction. I hope you all are understood. If we talk about the definitions, according to Neumann and Morgenstern, a rational individual chooses among risky alternatives on the basis of expected utility. This means that when people face risk, they compare expected satisfaction from different choices and selected the best one. If you talk about the formula of this function, then the function is EU, which is expected utility, equal to summation of a and I equal to 1 piu under bracket xi bracket close. And if we talk about the explanations of symbol, then EU represent expected utility, Pi represent probability of occurrence of outcome. U bracketed xi, which is this. This means utility obtained from outcome xi, and small n represent number of possible outcome. In simple word, this formula tells us that expected utility is calculated by multiplying the utility of each outcome by its possibility and then adding all the values together. Wait, I have some example. I will show you that. Where is the example? Wait, I remember that I have that example. Yeah, this is the example. This is a very small example. Suppose 50% chances of winning 100 and 50% chances of winning 50. Expected utility. Here, expected utility is 0.5 into 100. And we assume that probability of 100 equal to 0.5, probability of 50 equal to 0.5. That means we adding here EU equal to 0.5 into 20 plus 0.5 into 10 equal to 15. Therefore, the expected satisfaction from this risky situation is 15 utility units. I hope you all are understood. Now we will discuss about the assumptions. Then what are the assumptions of NM utility theory? And you all know that without assumption a theory is nothing. First assumption say that rationality. Rationality means consumer should be a rational people. They try to maximize their expected utility and choose the option that gives the higher and greatest satisfaction. And assumption 2 and second assumption say that completeness. A consumer can compare all available alternatives. For example, a person can decide whether they prefer tea or coffee or milk. This is the actual meaning of completeness. Third one is transitivity. Transitivity means preference remains constant. If a consumer prefers tea over coffee and coffee over milk, then they should also prefer tea over milk. Okay, that this is called transitivity. And another one is continuity. Another one is continuity. Continuity means preferences change smoothly. There are no sudden jump in consumer choices. That is called continuity. And last one is independence. Independence means the choices between two alternatives should not be a independence means the choices between two alternatives should not be affected by irrelevant options. Consumer focus only on the alternative that matter. This is all about assumptions of non-Neumann Morgenstern, which is otherwise known as NM utility function. Now let's discuss what are the importance of NM utility function. First is First is basics of decision theory. This theory from the foundation of modern decision theory. It helps explain how people make choice when outcomes are uncertain and involve risk. For example, before investing money, a person compare different possibility and chooses the option that provides the highest expected satisfaction. And another one is useful in game theory. NM utility theory is widely used in game theory. Sorry. Game theory studied strategy decision making where the choice of one person of sorry another one is useful in game theory. NM utility theory is widely used in game theory. Game theory study strategic decision making where the choice of one person affects other. For example, in business competition, companies decide prices and strategy by considering possible actions of competitor. And another one is help in insurance decision. Sorry. This theory helps explain why people buy insurance. Even though paying an insurance premium reduce income, people prefer the security and peace of mind it provides. For example, a person may choose insurance because avoiding a large future loss gives greater utility. That means if a person may choose insurance, why? Because avoiding a large future loss gives greater utility. I hope you all are understood. And last one is useful in finance. And last one is useful in financial economics. The theory is very useful in financial investment decision. Investment compare risk and return before selecting investment. For example, an investor may choose between a fixed deposit and stock investment based on expected utility. And now discuss what are the advantages of this theory. First advantages is scientific and mathematical approach. This theory uses probability and mathematical method, making it more scientific and now let's discuss what are the advantages of this theory. First advantages is scientific and mathematical approach. This theory uses probability and mathematical method, making it more scientific than earlier utility theories. And another one is explain risky choices clearly. It explains how people make decisions when there is uncertainty and risk. For example, choosing between a guaranteed price and a lottery ticket. Third one is useful in economic and business. It is widely applied in economics, finance, insurance, and business decision making. Last one is forms a basic of modern utility theory. No doubt, many modern theories of consumer behavior are based on the idea developed by Neumann and Morgenstern, which is otherwise known as NM utility theory. Then let's discuss what are the limitations of this theory. Limitations of this theory. First limitation is utility is difficult to measure. One major limitation is that utility or satisfaction is subjective. Different people may get different level of satisfaction from the same outcome. Sorry. For example, winning 1000 rupees may make one person very happy, while another person may feel only slightly satisfied. Therefore, utility cannot be measured exactly. And second one is assume rational behavior. The theory assumes the consumer always behavior rationally. However, in real life, people are influenced by emotions, habits, fear, and social pressure. For example, many people buy things impulsively even when it is not the best financial decision. So, people do not always behave rationally. And third one is complete conclusion. Sorry, third one is com- complex calculations. Complex calculation means what? Expected utility calculation involves probability and mathematics. This theory, as the number of possible outcome increases, the calculations before more complicated. For example, an ordinary consumer may find it difficult to calculate expected utility before every decision. These are the limitations of this theory. Now, now move to the conclusion. In conclusion, to conclude, the Neumann Morgenstern utility function is important modern theory that explains consumer behavior under uncertainty. It provides the foundation for expected utility analysis and plays major role in economic, finance, insurance and game theory. Although it has some limitations, it remains one of the most influential theory of understanding decision under risk. This is all about NM theory, guys. If this explanation help you understand the importance of NM utility function, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And most important thing is that if you like this PDF, feel free to text me on this WhatsApp number. I will send you this free of cost. Okay, thanks for watching. Thank you. Please subscribe this channel and I will definitely help as much as possible to my site. Thank you.